Back on the road for the Horseshoes, this time facing a familiar foe in Music City. The Colts aim to go 1-0 and gain valuable ground on the Titans in the AFC South race. And we are getting you ready right now with an all-new Colts 360.
From the Huntington Bank Studio, this is Colts 360.
Indy visits Nashville this weekend for an early season divisional battle against the Titans, who own a one-game lead in the division. But before we head southbound, let's go back to LA and right into the thick of the action for the very best of the Colts season opener.
It's the Colts and Chargers starting out the 2019 regular season.
Let's go, baby. Let's go, baby.
The Colts will be looking for their first Week 1 road victory since 2006.
Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up. There's no more excuses. There's no more can'ts. There's no more cannots. Let everybody don't believe. Let them not believe in us. That's fine. Don't leave here without no dub. Believe in your man next to you. Family on three. 1, 2, 3. Hey. All day. Let's go.
3 receivers into the game, now make it 4 as Marlon Mack splits out wide to the right side. Jacoby Brissett throws upfield, the ball's caught. Touchdown, T.Y. Hilton. A 4-yard strike from Jacoby Brissett. Rivers stands up tall in the pocket, and he's brought down by Justin Houston. The first sack in a Colts uniform for Justin Houston. Rivers in the under center. Drop it off to Eckler. Eckler with a huge run after the catch. And he will cruise into the end zone. A 55-yard touchdown and a run after the catch on a screen to Austin Eckler. On first down, they hand off to Marlon Mack. He's at the 10, he's at the 5, and he will score! Touchdown, Marlon Mack! Marlon Mack, 63-yard gallop. He finds pay dirt.
There you go! There you go! Oh! Good one. That's it, baby. There we go. 2015. Let it go. 2-5. There you go, 2-5. There you go, baby.
And it's intercepted. It's picked off by Malik Hooker. A one-handed snag. Malik Hooker runs it upfield, and he's blasted out of bounds at the 22-yard line. What a play by Malik Hooker. A one-handed grab thwarts the drive by the Chargers. Brissett out of the gun on second down. Steps up, he's got time, throws over the middle. The ball's caught by T.Y. Hilton. Looking for the sideline, makes a man miss. He's at the 5, and he dives for the pylon. Touchdown! Touchdown! T.Y. Hilton! A 19-yard pass, pay dirt for T.Y., and it's 24-22. Out of the shotgun, takes the snap, hands off to Marlon Mack, looking, powering forward. No signal yet. He's in there. A 2-point conversion is good, and we are tied. We are tied at 24. The Colts have come all the way back to tie the game with 38 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter. Takes the snap, hands off to Eckler, cuts upfield, and he is hit. Rolls into the end zone, touchdown. Game is over, and the Chargers win.
Let's go. Thanks, Ray. Have an awesome year, man. I'm happy for you. I know it's weird not having, but I take the heads heartbreaking. And, you know, when you come out on the road against a good football team and you feel like you did a lot of good things to beat a good football team, but you just didn't do quite enough. So we'll learn from it, we'll make no excuses, and get ready for next week.
Up next, our weekly conversation with head coach Frank Reich on how the Horseshoes are building off week 1 as the climb carries them on to Nashville. Welcome back to Colts 360. We are bringing the juice. Head coach Frank Reich here now for our weekly conversation. Coach, the fight that your team showed in that second half in Los Angeles, just what does that indicate about the type of competitors that you have and how much optimism you have moving forward from that game 1?
Yeah, I'll tell you, they did fight hard throughout the whole game. You know, late in the third quarter, we're down by 15. It's 24-9. Just continued to fight, got back in the game and made it interesting. Unfortunately, just came up a little short.
The effectiveness of Marlon Mack, 174 yards on 25 carries, career-long 63-yard touchdown. Just how much does that indicate how much the run game is going to be part of the game plan moving forward and how effective he can be given those opportunities that he had with the blocks and the offensive line being as effective as they were?
It was really fun to see, and for us to stay patient with the run game, you know, just keep giving it to Marlon, keep trusting those guys up front. You know, we go the whole off season, the whole training camp with the eye on this improved run game, more steady throughout the whole year. And so to be able to see it unfold like it did, really a good thing to build off of going forward.
We heard that the offensive lineman, I believe in particular Quentin Nelson, he was in your ear on the sideline saying, just keep calling him, just keep calling him. How much of a commitment is there from your O-line and how encouraging is it to see those guys and their amount of buy-in too?
Yeah, I love talking to those guys on the sideline, particularly Quentin. You know, I started last year with him going back and forth like that. And yeah, he's not bashful. I like it like that, you know, where, you know, or I'll look to him in the game, say, how things going up front. And he'll always kind of give me he's a good barometer of how it's going up front. And that was his mode. Just keep calling him. We can get these guys.
Jacoby, you commented on his poise and the command that he had in the offense. 21 for 27, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. The way that he distributed the ball, just how pleased are you with that debut for him as your starter?
Very encouraged. You know, not surprised, but very encouraged. That's what we've been seeing out of practice. That's what we've been saying for the last 6 months as we've been going through this whole thing. And Jacoby just played consistent, made the plays, you know, made the 4th down play when he had to make a big play. We get down in the red zone, we need to convert. When we need a touchdown, made all the right checks, accurate on all the throws, complete poise, you know, wasn't too big for him. It was exciting. I'm really happy for Jacoby, and I think we're getting to see the kind of guy we got as our starting quarterback.
Certainly disappointing the loss of Devin Funchess with the broken collarbone. He goes to IR. He is expected to return this season, hopeful to return this season. With that loss of a big playmaker like Devin Funchess, how do you look to some of your young receivers, guys like Deion Kane and Paris Campbell, now to fill that void?
Yeah, and it's a big loss. I mean, there's no secret. I really think Jacoby and Funch were developing a good chemistry, and you know, Funch is just a big target. So you lose him for a while, and then hopefully he'll be ready to come back down the road. But in the meantime, you know, we're one of the few teams that had 6 wide receivers active for the game, which is unusual. And we got a good group of receivers. So now we got 5 active. We're ready to go. Obviously, Deion will get a lot of time. Paris will get more time, and they'll have their opportunities to make big plays.
Speaking of big plays, one of the biggest from Sunday was Malik Hooker's one-handed interception. I was down there on the sidelines, and the bench cleared. Everybody got as close as they could to the field. Certainly was breathing that life that your team needed into it. What was your vantage point of Malik's pick?
It was a huge play. I mean, you know, the Chargers are driving down, you know, going to put the game out of reach, right? If they score, it's Phillip Rivers. I mean, he's having a career day. And Malik just makes a great one-handed stab. That really energized us, right? We had that, then we get the long drive to tie it up. So that's what we're expecting from Malik. We know he has those kind of playmaking abilities. Hopefully we see a lot more of those this year.
How crucial is it also when he is able, or anyone is able, to create those type of opportunities for your offense to then capitalize on those as they did?
Exactly. And because like you said, when the bench clears and the juice is flowing and you want to build off that and the offense comes out, Jacoby leads us right down the field, on an 80-yard, I believe it was an 80-yard drive. We got to play complementary football like that and feed off of each other's momentum, and I thought the guys did a good job of that.
You mentioned Phillip Rivers having a career day, but your defense was able to get to him on 4 different occasions, but then it was Austin Eckler with 3 touchdowns. As you look ahead to face the Tennessee Titans, you know what Derrick Henry and Marcus Mariota can pose in terms of that offensive threat. How much do you draw on that game against the Chargers and what you can take away and learn from that as you implement the game plan for Tennessee?
Well, no doubt. I think you're right, Lara, that the pressure that we got on Rivers was good pressure. Here's an elite quarterback. Yes, he had a good day and made a lot of plays, but we did show our front was able to get to him 4 times, really had a 5th that was called back. So, going forward, I think that gives us confidence in our pass rush going into week 2, against Tennessee, but another good quarterback. Obviously Marcus is Mariota's more mobile, doesn't have the number of years experience that a guy like Rivers has, so it'll be another good challenge. Derrick Henry, right, big, strong back, different than Eckler, both excellent backs, but this Tennessee team is extremely well coached. Mike Vrabel's an excellent coach. Their defense does a lot of different junk. It's like night and day. Last week the Chargers basically played 1 front, 1 coverage. This week against Tennessee, they're multiple on defense. They'll give Jacoby a lot of looks.
As they also were pretty threatening to Baker Mayfield last week with the defense that they pressed on them. How much of a challenge is that for your offensive line? But how encouraged are you by how they handled that Chargers defense the way that they did? Yeah,
well, the Chargers defense had 2 elite pass rushers, and we did a pretty good job on those guys. But the challenge this week is that they're all also good up front, but it's just that they give so many different looks. So our identification in our pass protection stuff will be at a premium, right? Because they're going to come out, it's going to look different every time to our offensive line and Jacoby as they assess the field. Dean Peace, their defensive coordinator, Mike Vrabel, obviously with his defensive background, they like to really, really mix it up. And so that can make it difficult on one hand, but the positive of that is there's holes, right? If they happen to mess up on a coverage, we can expose them for big plays. That's what we would hope to do.
It was an uncharacteristic day for Adam Vinatieri with 2 missed field goals and a missed extra point. Does Adam adjust anything at all this week, or do you just chalk it up to an off day?
You just chalk it up to an off day. I mean, you learn from it. He goes back, he looks at the film, and he says, hey, maybe it was this little technique thing or this, and get your mind right and move on. I mean, let's face it, when you played as many games as Adam has played in, you're bound to have 1 or 2 that you're not happy about in the course of your career. So we just move on from that and we'll get ready for the next one.
Speaking of the next one, a division rival in Tennessee, a team that you know very well. You faced them at the end of the season last year to secure that wild card spot. They opened this season with a big win over the Browns. Where have you seen the Tennessee Titans improve the most since you saw them late in the season 2018 to the start of 2019?
Well, I just think that I think they've incrementally improved in every area. I think Marcus Mariota's back and healthy. Last year, towards from the middle of the year on, I think he was pretty banged up, dealing with some physical issues. So he's healthy. The defense has continued to improve. This is just a well-coached team. They're tough. They're physical. They typically, I remember last year they were among the league leaders in fewest penalties, so they're a very disciplined team. So we got to be patient, right? But we got to be able to make big plays against this team in all 3 phases. Be disciplined, but still make big plays. That'll be the challenge this week.
Off one of the best Colts rushing efforts in years, we come back with the backs. Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines explain what's special about this year's offense and the dynamic that drives the Colts ground game. That's next on Colts 360. Back now on Colts 360 and fresh off one of the best performances by Colts running backs in years. They're fresh off the practice field. We have Nyheim Hines and Marlon here. Marlon, you had 174 yards rushing on Sunday in LA, most of those coming in the 3rd quarter. How are you guys able to be so patient with the run game and wait to break things open then in the second half?
I mean, it just through the week and during practice, just tell her to be patient this week. Just gotta take it. Really, run game pretty much just take time. You just gotta be patient with it, and once you get your chance, you gotta hit it and go.
Highlighted by that career-long 63-yarder, Nyheim, what was your vantage point of that touchdown run?
Sheesh. So I'm on the sideline, so I lost him for a second, and I saw there might be a hole, and I just saw a 25 shoot out. And the night before, and walked in our offensive meetings, they were showing all the plays that we wish we had back. And I promise you it jinxed Marlon because it was a play where where somebody tripped Marlon up and he couldn't stay in bounds. And it was, what was it, your 50-yard run at Oakland?
Yeah.
And I was like, Marlon, why are they showing all the plays we wish we could have back? And then lo and behold, that happens the next day. So I was really excited to see him finish the run first off, and now he won't be getting picked on by some of the guys in the locker room.
Yeah.
Well, they tried to bring you down. I think at one point you basically lost your entire cleat going into the end zone, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like the 10-yard line, completely fell off, and I was just, I gotta finish it now.
Take me through that touchdown run from your perspective. I mean, that is a long run. Were you just gassed by the time you got in the end zone, or was it pure adrenaline?
Pure adrenaline. By the time, so I get the ball, I see the guys over for him pretty much. I hit the hole, it's one-on-one with me and the safety. I just like, for a fact I gotta win. Everybody on the field did their job, so I gotta finish this, break this tackle, and get to the end zone. I did that. Once I did that, I just thought of what me and him was talking about the other day, just not getting caught like Oakland.
Knees.
And I just picked up the knees and got to the end zone. After that, it was history.
You mentioned that you were on the sideline. What was your reaction when he got back over to the bench?
I was excited. I mean, I was screaming, and from a former track guy, I thought he looked he finished the run a lot better. He kept the knees up, and he ran all the way through the end zone, and I was excited. I mean, we haven't had a run that long since I've been here, so it was really exciting. It was when we needed it, and our O-line was, the whole day they were answering the bell. Anytime we needed something, ran the ball, and we got it.
Nyheim, you mentioned the offensive line. Throughout the spring, it was reiterated that the run game, there was an emphasis on making it a top 5 rushing team. Quentin Nelson has been one of the biggest cheerleaders of this running back contingent. Wearing the hat, run the ball. How much of a support has he been for you guys and kind of a cheerleader for this group and just an asset overall to this team since he joined last year?
Well, the way Quentin's been mauling people, I don't think he needs to wear a hat saying that we need to run the ball. As long as he keeps putting what he's been putting on film, I think we're going to always run the ball. And I think, in the first half, we just had to gel together. We hadn't played together in a while, and it's always great coming back into, the second year of the system and knowing the checks and just being farther along than we were last year. And I think that really is going to hopefully evolutionize our run game. And obviously, we started out with Marlon having 174 yards. Hopefully, the sky's the limit, and we can keep it going up from here.
Just keep building momentum
Exactly.
from there. When you guys heard Coach Reich say back in the spring, we want to be a top 5 rushing team, how did you use that as motivation? Did you alter anything, or just, what did you do in the offseason knowing the workload that was going to be put upon you guys come training camp, preseason, especially this week 1 game?
For me, I really didn't change anything because I knew we could be a great run team. It's just about getting gelling together, like Nyheim said, coming in the second year offense. Once we get that gel together and no respect from each other on the field, I feel like we'll get things rolling against anybody. And when the guys in front of us, they're good against anybody. So just got to go out there and keep working.
Definitely. The whole, top 5 run game in the NFL, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It's a formula to win. Even Alabama's and all the teams that have won in the Super Bowl even last year, Patriots established the ground game, and throughout the years in college when Alabama's won, they've always had dominant run games. I mean, obviously you have to throw the ball to win, but the game of football is won in the trenches, and your big boys up front have to dominate the other guys up front, and that's how you win.
This is the second time now for you, Nyheim, that you've been teammates with Jacoby Brissett. You guys shared a season at NC State. When you guys were teammates back then, Jacoby's senior year, your freshman year, did you see the type of potential for him to be the quarterback in the NFL that he's becoming?
Definitely, and when I first got there, he was a great quarterback, and it's crazy to say, but he's even so much better than he was then. And he's always been the same type of guy, even with being the backup to now the guy. He's always been the same, very detailed. Like my first day at NC State, I had to run a 5-yard out route, and he wanted it at 5 yards, 4 steps, and he made me do it like 3 times in a row because I was short or too far. So he's always been that detailed, and I think that detailed and him being very cerebral has always been a strong suit of him. I think that's what's helping him.
What type of presence does he have in this locker room? He's one of those guys that we see everybody really rallies around.
Like I said, he hasn't changed. Jacoby was our teammate the year before I got here, so it's not like we're bringing in some new guy. Everybody knows Jacoby, and that's really another thing I think will help us bond as a team.
Each of the position groups kind of has a hype man, like Darius Leonard for the linebackers, Eric Ebron obviously for the tight ends. Who is the hype man? Because all of you guys are so even keel in that running back room.
For me, I would say, I don't think it's nobody. I don't think we have a hype man in our room. I feel like we probably the most laid back room to everybody because we don't do too much. We just be chilling and relaxing.
Yeah, we literally chill. We do our job, and then when one of us makes a big play, we'll probably scream a little bit. The other one will scream. But I think Rathman's our hype man, honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
Our coach.
Yeah,
we have a good play. We run somebody over. He's the one screaming. So pretty cool.
So we're putting the camera Sunday on Tom Rathman. That's the assignment. That's what we want to see when you guys, again, have another just ferocious rush attack there in Nashville. One more thing. You guys are so well balanced. You guys complement each other. What are those strengths about one another that you kind of admire and that play off of each other so well in this run game?
I think with Marlon, I love his patience. I don't really ask Marlon a lot of questions, but I can turn on the film and I can see how he saw it. And even with the footwork and him taking his time, I've learned a lot from him. And Jordan and Jay Will, they all bring their shares to the table. I love Jordan's tenacity and Jay Will, his willingness to pass protect. And honestly, I've learned a lot from all three of the guys and Coach Rathman. I think they all have been making me a better player.
In this running back room, everybody help each other. Like he said, man, we feed off each other. As a running back, you try to help guys see things that they didn't see on the field. So in this group, that's one thing we do. We help each other no matter what. Some things you just, as a running back, you need to see. You need to hear from other running backs how they feel like you could have did, or things like that. So in our room, that's what I feel like we're good at, and helping each other is one thing we do.
Guys, we really appreciate you taking the time. We will see you kicking things off in Nashville against division rival Tennessee. For now, that's a wrap on Colts 360. Stick around. Next week, we'll be back with more.